Another terrific night of Detroit Pistons basketball, defeating the New York Knicks at Little Caesars Arena. Another huge game from Cade Cunningham with the playoffs just around the corner. Is this a sign of things to come? Let's talk about it right here. Top Title Detroit.
Perfect. Perfect. Perfect.
What's good? Welcome to Top Title Detroit. I am Eric Vincent, your host and Detroit Pistons beat reporter for ClutchPoints.com. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate your support and I appreciate your time. Make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel. Piston fans, tell a friend to tap in with us right here at Top Title Detroit. I would really appreciate the love right there because we got to talk about another great night, another brilliant night of Detroit Pistons victorious basketball, beating the New York Knicks in comeback fashion, final score of 115-106. After finding themselves down as many as 13 points in the first half, the Pistons rallied back in the second to take down the third place Knicks in the Eastern Conference. And boy, was it impressive to watch. Let's talk about a little bit of what we saw, and then we're going to get into what this could look like in a 7-game series next week in the first round of the playoffs. Again, the Pistons found themselves down as many as 13 points, really struggled to kind of maintain any kind of momentum early in the game. Not only were the Stars kind of keeping some pressure on the Pistons in the first two quarters, but Deuce McBride and Precious Achiuwa were really giving the Pistons all that they can handle. They were making a lot of open shots. They were really pressuring the Pistons on defense, and they were adding a swing of energy that the Knicks normally don't rely on a game-to-game basis. Those are good players, but the Knicks are a team that rely more so on the top-heavy talent of their stars to carry them on to their victories. And as we saw tonight, playing against a team like the Pistons, who also have star power, who also have a little bit of depth, they weren't able to keep it up consistently, at least into the second half, because the Pistons decided to flip a switch, really honed in on defense, created some turnovers, got some splash plays in the third quarter, and really turned the tide late in that basketball game. The Knicks were not the same team that we saw in the first half. They were able to go on some runs and put on some pressure, but we also saw Jalen Brunson leave the game briefly. He didn't really come back and play as the same guy that we're normally accustomed to seeing him play. I think he only went 5-15 from the field, only 15 points. Got to the free throw line only 5 times, which is a W for the Pistons because he is prone to live at the free throw line to get his production. We saw Karl-Anthony Towns put up 25 points, but he really struggled in the second half, especially when he was guarded by Isaiah Stewart. Karl-Anthony Towns is a good player, but when you put a body on him and you put some pressure and some physicality in his direction, he's not the same kind of star-producing big. He's a center, but I think he more so is comfortable as a power forward, and they try to lean on him as their anchoring big, especially with Mitchell Robinson being hurt and out of the lineup. So with Cat in that position, especially against two physical players like Beef Stew and Jalen Duren, that was a lot to weigh on him for, especially when he had to go play defense against those guys as well. Duren had himself a nice game, went 9 of 9, scored 18 points, grabbed 13 rebounds, 5 on the offensive end for extra possessions. He has been playing on a mission in the second half of the season, and he was a huge reason to the turnaround victory to help the Pistons rally and defeat the Knicks in the second half. But the biggest story, of course, the biggest story has to start with the poster child of the night. The Pistons had Slam Night to honor Cade Cunningham's Slam magazine cover for the second time in his career, and he again lived up to the billing. All of the hype that this dude has been getting over this year, from the primetime games and now the magazine covers, Cade is answering the call in very impressive fashion. 36 points against the Knicks, 16 to 24 shooting from the field, 8 assists, 2 of 5 from 3. Just unbelievable display of basketball from Cade Cunningham. Again, JB even said it in the post-game presser. He said he's an all-NBA player, and if you ask me, I think he should be first-team all-NBA. What he has been able to do this season has been unbelievably impressive. Without a second star, losing Jaden Ivey for the season, and his game has only taken a step forward and since then become one of the most elite point guards in all the NBA. Cade has looked tremendous this season. And at this point, again, I'm not really sure what the argument is against him for being a first team All NBA guy. The Knicks couldn't do nothing with him. He was giving them everything they could handle, scoring down low in the post, taking them in the mid range, had a little bit of a rhythm going with his 3-point shot. The playmaking was still there. And he showed again that in a 7-game series with a team like the Knicks who have all stars all around them, Cade showed that he is the actual best player of all the stars and all of the top tier talent in this series and in between these two teams. Cade was absolutely spectacular what we saw against the Knicks. And he's been like that against New York all season. Averages, 30 points a game, I believe. He was shooting 56% from the field in the 4 games against the Knicks, 52% from 3. I think he was averaging around 8 assists in those 4 games. Cade was absolutely sensational in every way, shape, or form. It really feels good to see that the league and the media that they're trying to buy into him a little bit more with more primetime games for the Pistons, with more coverage, social media posting. They're trying to brand him and see if he could be looked at as one of those focal point faces of the league. And every single time he's had these kind of stages, he has answered the call. And the way he played today against the Knicks shows just how dangerous that he can be, especially when a team needs him most heading into a playoff push as well. Tobias Harris came back. He was down with a heel injury over the past 3-4 games where he had to miss after he got hurt again against the Oklahoma City Thunder. He finally came back and gave the Pistons a much needed boost, 17 points, helped limit the Knicks a little bit on the glass, and showed how versatile he can be with his scoring prowess and his defensive versatility as well. Really good to see Tobias Harris back on the court because he was that connector that they've been missing over the past several games. With so much good news that we saw in this game, again, you can't help but wonder and ask, because this could have been a potential playoff picture heading into next week. Again, the Pistons are in the 6th seed, the Knicks are in the 3rd seed. So they are destined to collide if they stay in the same standings right now as soon as next season, or next week, Could this be a sign of things to come? For what we saw this season, the Pistons beating the Knicks 3 out of 4 times. Could this be a sign of things to come as soon as next week when the playoffs start? I'm going on record right now. Absolutely it is. The Knicks do not want to see the Pistons in the first round. They were comfortable in that first half. The Knicks looked really good. They were getting a lot of open shots. They were getting a lot of good energy from McBride. They were getting a lot of great production to kind of keep some pressure on the Pistons and to kind of tone down a bit of the night and the excitement that had been building up prior to. Because everybody had the same thought. This was the potential playoff picture between these two, a potential playoff preview between these two, and it absolutely lived up to the billing. Little Caesars Arena was wired the entire night. It was a lot of Knicks fans, a lot of Pistons fans, a lot of good energy back and forth between two teams and through the crowd. And the Piston fans obviously got their money's worth, standing victorious by the end of the night. Because if you look at what these Pistons did, they showed that they can be the superior team even in a 7-game series against a team like the Knicks. While they have a lot of talent, they're still fixing and fitting a lot of pieces together. This is a Tom Thibodeau team that, again, relies a lot on the regular season production, plays a lot of heavy minutes for their starters, and that doesn't always play well for a starting team. That doesn't always play well for a team with championship aspirations. So for a team like the Pistons playing, with house money, with a lot of young legs, with a lot of inexperience, that sometimes plays into the Pistons' hands for a young team like the Pistons because they're coming in with no expectations for real. Even though the Pistons have constantly said, like, hey, we're not satisfied where we are. We want more. We want more. I still don't think this team actually understands how good they can be. Even without a Jaden Ivey right now, who I cannot wait till they can get back. He's recovering well. Got some good news about him. We'll talk about Jaden Ivey again soon. But this team, I don't think, understands just how good they can be. again, Cade Cunningham has shown that he can be the number one guy on a championship winning team. I think the players are understanding that. I think the league is understanding that. And I think the Knicks got a first round taste of that with this game that we just saw tonight. I don't think they want to see the Pistons in this 7-round series. I really don't. I think the Pistons are the exact kind of team they don't want to play against. The Knicks are not great when they get punched in the mouth and have to get challenged with physicality, because when you have a player like Jalen Brunson, who's very talented, but leans a lot of his game on flopping and foul baiting and getting to the free throw line, that's not necessarily showing that you're able to withstand, some physicality in a playoff series. Now, he's shown the ability to do that before with the Knicks and with the Mavericks, but he's been a different player over the last couple seasons. He's a fantastic player. I like watching some of his game, but when he gets to the foul baiting and the dramatics, that's when he kind of loses me. And that's not going to do it even against a team with inexperience like the Detroit Pistons, because Beef Stew has shown that he can be an anchor. They have enough bodies that can control a guy like Brunson on a game-by-game basis. And as long as they don't let the other guys get loose, I think that fits into their hands, because Cade is going to get his. Malik Beasley, if he snaps out of his slump, can get dangerous. Tim Hardaway Jr. has been pretty effective over the last several games. And Tobias Harris has been very steady of a stretch for the Detroit Pistons. We've also seen Jalen Duren play some of the best two-way basketball of his career over the past couple of months. And a big name we have to talk about that's always providing such amazing energy for the Pistons, especially when they need it most, is Ron Holland. 13 points off the bench for him today. Play 21 minutes of action, and it never fails. It never fails for the Pistons. When they go through a lull, when they kind of get down a little bit, when they're down double digits, when they're not, clicking defensively, Ron is always there to spark the energy and the change they need to get back in that winning flow. He's always that spark plug for this team. It never fails. And it worked for them, and it became infectious as soon as he got off the court, or as soon as the starters came back on the court and played in staggered lineup minutes with him. Ron is the perfect energy spark for this team, especially when Asar Thompson didn't really have it going tonight. So they have a lot of depth that the Knicks don't always necessarily rely on. They do have energy and, thriving pieces that kind of help complement their foundation with guys like OG Anunoby, guys like Josh Hart. We talked about Deuce McBride. Like, they have some pieces that kind of work. But again, they already log a lot of minutes, and they have championship expectation, a little bit more pressure than a team like the Pistons have right now. And based on the way that they've played all season, even when they were healthy, I remember the last game they had when Cade had 36 points again, they weren't able to control Cade Cunningham at all. They did a pretty good job of guarding Malik Beasley up until the fourth quarter, where he had, I think, 2 or 3 huge triples to put the game out of reach. Like, they haven't been able to be as persistent and consistent with keeping the Pistons under wraps. Like, even today with this game. First half, they had them down by as many as 13, and when the Pistons were able to turn it on and get some stops defensively, Dennis Schroeder coming in to get some timely buckets, Beef Stew coming in playing some clutch defense against Karl-Anthony Towns, they started to buckle at that point. They got a little bit tired, they got a little bit hectic, and they weren't able to be the same team that we're normally accustomed to seeing with the Knicks. And while we're talking about the Knicks and how well they've been anyway, what we know about the Knicks is they struggle against the good teams anyway. They haven't beat any of the elite teams in the East or the entire NBA? I don't know if it's which one it is, but they've struggled even with the Pistons, who are maybe not elite, but still one of the better teams in the East. Still a playoff team, still a team they need to be taken serious. And it seems like they weren't able to take them down in the moment they needed it the most. Second half, they absolutely buckled. They were not the same crisp team offensively. They really struggled to get stops defensively. They weren't able to get Jalen Duren off the glass, and they couldn't do nothing with Cade Cunningham, who scored on all 3 levels whenever he wanted. They're probably going to double him a lot in the playoffs, but I think he's going to have to be able to adjust to it. I think JB Biggerstaff has shown the ability to adjust through double teams, but as of right now, we saw them try to play a lot of one-on-one coverage against Cade, and he picked them apart every chance he got. And if that's how they choose to do it, Pistons might win in 6 games in this first round. I truly believe the Pistons will upset the Knicks if they are not prepared enough to take on a guy like Cade Cunningham, and if they can't withstand the depth that the Pistons are going to be able to play with in transition and to weigh on the Knicks defensively, who are already a team that struggles defensively. This is a perfect matchup for the Detroit Pistons, and this kind of game was a perfect example of why. I'm so happy with how they played, and I'm very impressed with the momentum that they're building heading into the playoffs right now. But talk to me. I would love to hear your feedback. What were your thoughts about the Pistons game taking down the Knicks? Again, 115-106. How confident are you heading into the playoffs, and who do you want to see them play in that first round? Hit me up in the comment section. I would love to hear from you. Again, make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, tell a friend to check in with us right here at Top Title Detroit. And you can check out my articles as well at clutchpoints.com. I would really appreciate your coverage and your help and your support. It really mean a lot to me. You can also tap in with me on social media at I am Eric Vincent. I would really appreciate that as well. Thank you all so much for being here. Had to get into the little talk about the Pistons and what they did. Make sure you hit me up, tap in with the channel, and I'll see you again soon right here on Top Title Detroit. Peace.